Hi, Eisno here with the Duck, and welcome to Horrific History, the channel that puts the horror into all things historic. Those of you who are subscribed, welcome back. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button if you like this video. So sit back, relax and enjoy today's story. The landlady of the White Horse and Griffin Inn. The White Horse and Griffin Inn, originally built in about 1691, with its long history, it's unsurprising to learn it's been the stage for a variety of ghostly sightings, which have apparently been witnessed by a multitude of guests and staff alike. One of these lost souls is that of a previous landlady by the name of Mrs. Bowler. However, the exact date of her untimely death is said to be undocumented, although it was sometime in the late 19th century. When she was of this earth, Mrs. Bowler was a lady that was best to be shunned and generally avoided at all cost. When she randomly decided to take a personal disliking to you, you most undoubtedly knew about it. She would judge on patrons to the inn almost immediately. With a slight glance she would have you either pinned as a friend or a foe. More often than not she would happily choose the latter. One cold dark winter night, after clearing the inn of drunken customers, Mrs. Bowler was going about her nightly chore of taking the empties out back. She carefully made her way down the steps at the back of the inn, tumbled on a slippery step, took a terrible fall and cracked her head clean open on the steps behind. No one heard her blood-curdling screams of intense pain echoing down the dimly lit back street. She eventually slowly bled to death over several hours after falling unconscious alone amongst the cobblestones. Since her death, the inn's clientele have reported feeling either exceptionally welcome when entering the inn or very utterly unwelcome. Customers say they sense an uneasy feeling that makes them want to about turn and immediately leave. Even when the White Horse and Griffin briefly became a sort of museum housing various Victorian curiosities, people would say they would feel her eerie presence. Amid the 1980s, there was even an offer of a £50 reward to any one person who stayed in one of the inn's rooms and remained there until morning. The White Horse and Griffin Inn now, and to be fair, always was a delightful pub, minus the years Mrs. Bowler's ran the place. Now it has an utterly captivating landlady who is welcome to all and sundry. But back in the late 19th century, it was maybe a place to give a short shrift. So if you happen to pop into the inn for a pint or several and feel somewhat discomposed or a tad anxious, then it's likely Mrs. Bowler has taken an unnecessary dislike to you. You'll be paying to hear that's it for today. So if you like this video, myself and the Duck implore you to like and subscribe. If you have any stories you'd like us to cover, do let us know in the comments, and if you must and feel so inclined, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. As always, stay weird and bye for now. Quack, quack, quack.